What is going on, everyone? So I just figured I would come and talk to you all on a stream about this, just because we got a new article for the Acolyte, um, and I thought that this was something that we should talk about. I was going to make a video about it, but I started to, and I didn't really like where I didn't really like. Um, Sorry, I gotta watch an ad real quick so I can get the article. But I didn't really like where the video was going when I went to start editing it, so I figured I would just come talk about it on stream and read some of you guys the article, as well as put it in the chat down below so that everyone can take a look at it. And if you're watching this after the stream, you may go ahead and look at it as well. Big shout out and thank you to Tony from Star Wars Sith for sending this over to me for all of you, and as well as myself, to take a look at. Sorry, I'm doing like 20 things at once right now, trying to get this all set up. But this article comes from The Nerdist, and it is going over Acolyte Episode 7, Episode 8, the season finale, of course, as well as Season 2, Qui-Gon Jinn, Anakin, and just a whole bunch of stuff. I will say it is a little bit confusing and or hard to read, but we're just going to get right into it. So, like I said, articles in the description down below if you want to read along. I'm just going to be going over some of these things that Leslie had talked about when it comes to when it comes to season 2, Darth Plagueis, where everything is going with Manny Jacinto, the whole 9 yards. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is Mother Koril and her not being dead. I mentioned this last night on Cantina Jargon, that I don't think that she's going to, or I don't think that she's dead, and this confirms that she is still alive. So, the interviewer had asked Leslie Headland. Koril says that she would die before she let the Jedi take her children. Then the Jedi take Osha. So is it okay to assume she's dead? Because the episode definitely suggests she survived. And Leslie Headland's response to this is, she laughs, yeah. No body, no death. That's what I'll say about that one. So, Koril's alive. I think we all knew this, though. And then, following this, the interviewer had asked, considering this angry, powerful, force-sensitive witch might be out there, we also have this unexplained, powerful, dark side user out there as well. Is it possible that Koril and Qimir know each other? And Leslie's response was, oh, I can answer that. They do not know each other, but I will say, as a tease, if we're able to explore more of this story, sorry, I'll repeat that. But if I will say, as a tease, if we're able to explore this story more, her species will tell you a little bit about where she ends up. So, if you guys don't know, she's a Zabrak. So, Mother Koril will be heading to Dathomir. I'm assuming so anyway, because that's mainly where the Zabrak are from. So, I don't know. I doubt we will see her in Ahsoka season 2 or in Dave's movie, but she's going to Dathomir. So that's very interesting and kind of just doesn't make sense. I don't know. I'm not too sure. This isn't to hate on anyone. It's just more of just like I'm kind of just confused where this is all coming from. I'm sorry, I'm not even streaming the screen. What am I doing? I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. I'm an idiot. My bad. Why is this not capturing my full screen? What the hell? There you go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move my webcam over here. Okay, so then the interviewer asks, we know that Anastasia is right when she says, someday those noble intentions you will have will destroy every Jedi in the galaxy. But how exactly does she know that? Is it just a prediction from a very smart person? or is the comet related to the twins' destiny? And Leslie says, I think she's seeing the way the Jedi are reacting to her children. She may not know this exactly, but she knows that they'll make the same mistake. And I'm assuming that that's with Anakin. So basically, when Mother Quarrel was saying, not Mother Quarrel, sorry, when Leslie was saying that, sorry, I'm getting confused here. When in episode, I think it's in episode 3. I'm not sure what episode it was, but Mother Anastasia had said that the Jedi will make the same mistake again. Like, basically, she isn't foreseeing Order 66. She's not seeing ahead and, like, seeing the fall of the Jedi. She's just realizing what is happening here. No, I'm not. It's just possible spoilers for, like, season 2 if we go to season 2. Ellie says, love this article. Headland is a huge geek. I love it. That she is. But no, so Mother Anastasia didn't foresee Order 66. She just had seen how the Jedi were reacting to her children and would know that they're going to make the same mistake again and it's going to cost them. So it's not necessarily breaking canon. She's not foreseeing Order 66. It's just she sees the flaws. I thought this was very interesting. Let me pull this side of it up. So the interviewer had asked, will we learn whether Qimir is truly a Sith or not in the season finale? And Leslie Headland responded with, what I will say is you don't hear it from his mouth, but there are a couple of small things that happen that will imitate the answer to that question. So, I mean, episode 5, he, like, mentioned it, but I'm assuming that we are going to be getting some sort of further confirmation on it. But then this is followed up with, will we learn if Qimir has any connection to the Knights of Ren? That's a theory I've been working on all season. And Leslie Headland responds with, this is the most interesting part of this. Takes a long pause and responds with, that's a really good theory. What an interesting theory. What an amazing. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And that's it. So, I mean, this is, I think, very apparent that we're going the Knights of Ren route. Like, this is where we're going to end up. Because, I mean, if this isn't avoiding a question, this is blatantly avoiding the question, at least I believe anyway. Like, this is, I mean, I don't know, I don't know how this isn't, like, you know what I'm saying. Let me catch up on some chats real quick. There will be season 2. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, because Leslie said that right here, this will go into season 2. This one's for me. I've been waiting for many years for how Darth Plagueis would show up. Do you know the whole story of the galaxy? Far, far away in the Acolyte, Palpatine training him connects. So basically she's asking, like, will this connect to Palpatine and Plagueis? And Leslie responds with, yes, I do. If I continue to get to tell the story, I know how I would like to play that out. And I would say that it's pretty complicated and messy. So season 2 isn't confirmed. There's been talks about it. But there's more and more stuff coming about it. And even in this article, she talks about season 2. She's heard talks about it, and she's kind of just waiting on, is there going to be a yes or no for season 2? So if we go to season 2, we're bringing in Plagueis, is assuming, like, that's what I'm assuming anyway by this article, is that that's the intention. What's going on, Galactic Katina? I hope it ends up getting renewed for season 2. I do too, just because I want to finish out the story. I don't want to just stop halfway through the story. Disney's in business. They're putting another $200 million for a second teen fan fiction show that costs $38 when the rest went into someone's pocket. I'm not even going to respond to that comment, dude. I mean, yes, you're right. Disney is in business. And they're going to want to make money. And this is the second highest show, streaming-wise and viewership-wise, on the platform. So, without a doubt, it's going to happen. They're definitely going to greenlight a season 2. Even with all the hate. I'd rather see a Boba season 2 at this point. I mean, I'd rather see a season 2 to all the previous shows, like Boba, Kenobi. I mean, we're gonna get Ahsoka season 2 already, but like Boba and Kenobi, I'd want to just finish all the stories, because Boba definitely was left off where the story wasn't finished. I mean, Mando's still 2 episodes, well, episode and a half of Boba's show. They played Kylo Ren's theme at least 3 times, and the stranger's helmet looks the same. Yeah, they're definitely hinting towards it. Not everyone hates it. They didn't stretch one episode into 8. They definitely could have narrowed it down, but it's not. Yeah. Episode 8 won't wrap up all the questions. It's not the point. I don't think the point is to wrap up all the questions. They're gonna want to leave questions for season 2. Stevie Wonder could see the downfall. Cool, dude. It's not the second lowest. No, it's not. I'm talking about on viewership wise. For like the amount of people that watched the premiere is way higher than what it was for half of the shows. And Andor's viewership at the start was lower, but it grew as time progressed. Even before the latest Star Wars even before the latest Star Wars and Marvel shows, Disney were going into the billions of loss from Disney Plus. Disney Plus has been a loss, but the merchandise from it hasn't been. Everything with Grogu, they have definitely made their money back with all of the Mando sales from Grogu. Grogu is Disney's cash cow. Show us the data, please. All right, give me 1 second. Let me look through Twitter, and I will pull up the numbers. I mean, also too, Joe and I have shown it before on stream as well, in previous Cantina Jargons, with the numbers. Stop feeding the crybabies. I mean, you're not gonna be able to please everybody, and I'm just trying to do what I can. But at the same time, Twitter's thing floods through so many things a day with reports and stuff. I'm probably not even be able to find the graph that I saw from Disney. Yeah, exactly. Exactly what Ellie just said. The Acolyte is the second highest in terms of engagement. What's going on, Joe? Joe, do you have the link that we had talked about with like the viewership for like where the Acolyte is at for the viewership numbers and stuff? I can't find it anywhere. I'm trying to find it because trying to talk about it. I don't know if you've seen this article, Joe, but but we're hitting the like button. What does engagement mean with the context of a one-way streamer? What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Grasping at straws to defend the show. I'm not grasping at straws. I'm not even defending the show. Show stinks. No two ways to think about it. I mean, if you feel that way, great. And yes, there are things that I don't like. And I have mentioned this multiple times. There's things that I don't like about this show. This show isn't perfect. Neither is all their other shows. I'm not talking about the negative things. I'm talking about the things that are positive in this show that are still interesting to talk about and still have merit behind them. Just because you've already written off the show or other people have written off the show doesn't mean I have. Other than watching it, what can engagement mean? Engagement means talking about it on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, promoting the show. I mean, the promotion behind the show has been insane with the Disney as a whole, and that's their side of it, but everyone else tuning into it. Like, people are saying, like, this show sucks, I'm not watching the show ever again. But those same people are still tuning in every single week to watch the show. Every single week. And all that's doing is driving the numbers up. Sorry, 1 second. So 99% of all the channels hate the show. Most of us like the trash videos more than the show. Yeah, cool. 99% of people want to just shit talk the show. Everything that has been said that is wrong or has issues with the show has been talked about on literally every single channel. There is not a single video that I can make right now talking about something that I don't like that nobody else hasn't said 10 times. There is nothing I can add to the pot of hate towards it that hasn't been said countless times before. So, like, there is nothing for me to add to that's going to be significant. So why don't I talk about the things that aren't being talked about, which is all the footage that we currently have that's in trailers. I mean, I'm going to say for episode 8, I guarantee we're going back to Brendok. There is no way in hell that we don't go back to Brendok in episode 8. I'm just flat out saying it. Like, it's going to happen. And the trailer footage shows us that that's going to happen. And I'm just tired of seeing constant videos of people, this, and this is so bad about the Acolyte. Yes, there are a lot of things bad about it, but no one's talking about the underlying things that are here in the show. And the themes that are here. There is so much in the show that people are just writing off because things that are breaking canon. Until the 8th episode comes out, no one can really say anything is broken canon because we still don't have the answers. If by the time episode 8 comes out and those answers aren't given to us, then yes, go ahead and say it breaks canon all day long. Go ahead and say it. I don't care. Because I'll be with you on that. But wait till the last episode until we make these full decisions. That this is breaking canon, this, and this doesn't make sense. We have to wait to find out. Bad Batch Season 3 ended off with 43 unanswered questions. So it could happen. But I'm just saying, wait until the 8 episodes are fully out before we go and start saying this, and this, and this. I feel like the promo of the show showed too much of the opening fight scene. I mean, yeah. I mean, especially with the first 5 minutes being shown with the Phantom Menace being back in theaters. There is nothing good or positive about the show. I've watched it, and like the only defendable thing is the Korean guy playing Soul, and the fact that you don't even know his name is kind of where I'm like, if you paid an ounce of attention, you would know who it is. I mean, if you don't see anything good or positive about the show, great, then stop watching it. Stop complaining about it. If you don't like it, say you don't like it, and then move on. Don't let it define your fucking life. Even I'm tired of all the Smash videos. Yeah, it's pointless. What's interesting is that the people who have written off the show keep watching it. That's exactly it. Yes, we're going to go back to Brendok in present time. That's what I'm saying. We're going to go back to Brendok, and everything is like... I guarantee there's going to be a final showdown. I don't know if Soul and Osha... Or not, Soul and Osha. I don't know if Soul and Mae will be on the same sign, but it's definitely going to be like Soul and Mae versus Qimir and Osha. Like, yeah, we're going back to Brendok. If I'm paying the continuous rising fees for Disney Plus, then I have every right to criticize what I'm paying for. Okay, but yeah, you're talking about one show. Let's go to Disney Plus here. Disney Plus is also merging with HBO Max and Paramount. There's going to be a giant merger with Netflix too. So you're complaining about criticizing one show on the Disney Star Wars section out of countless shows here. Marvel, Disney, Pixar, National Geographic, Hulu. There is multiple sections here and more content on this one page than 90% of the streaming services out there currently. So, like, for example, Predator 2, great movie. I'm paying because I want to see Predator 2 and I don't want to have to pay $4 every single time I want to watch it. I'm not even gonna keep feeding this. There's way more stuff on here than just one show that you can be upset about. I bet we will see some aftermath of Brendok and how Qimir found Mae. I guarantee it as well. Big silly. It's a train wreck you can't look away from. I pirated it. I'm not supporting this. Okay, so you just admitted to doing an illegal act. All right, congratulations, though. I like the show a lot. I'll make an opinion after the season's over. Exactly. Just wait till it's over before having full opinions and everything. Why can't we like what we like? Because people don't want you to like things that they don't like. Why do you think we'll see 11 to 4D from Do you think we'll see 11-4D from the Tarkin novel? Possible. It has its flaws and it has its good points, just like most shows. People have the right to criticize too, but to criticize something, you have to view it. Low down weight like is in Star Wars, or Lucas would immediately have fired anyone. Okay. Anyone that's just gonna start attacking one another, see ya. Deuces. Like, it's sayonara. Alright? I'm not this type of guy, but I'm not gonna keep dealing with it either. I threw your link in Discord. Sounds good, Joe. Love it or hate it. The viewership's there enough for season 2. It is, and it's... I admit, so far, I think the show is mid, but I'm waiting fully to leave a review until it's over. That's kind of what I'm saying. Just wait until it's fully over before writing it off. I mean, watching through the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, I watched all the way through, and there was a lot of points where I was like, I don't know if I want to keep watching this, but each week I kept watching it to give it a hope that it might get better. And unfortunately it didn't, but then I waited until the end of the show before, like, saying this show is trash, I'm never watching it again. I waited until it was done first before I made my opinions. I mean, I wasn't even making videos at the time, so I didn't, to be honest, Andor didn't really interest me. I didn't watch Andor until the beginning of, towards the end of, so Andor came out with September, and I watched it, I think, in January or February, and then watched it with my wife all the way through. And seeing it all the way through was great, but I know Tony from Star Wars Sith watched it week by week, and he had a really rough time with it, and he didn't want to keep watching it. Understandable. But I waited and then watched the entire thing through and give my thoughts on it. And people just need to do that more with these other shows. I don't know. I admit, so far, I think it's... I read that, sorry. I feel sorry for the actors. They're just doing their job. Star Wars fans are so brutal. As of right now, I probably wouldn't want a season 2 of The Acolyte. That all could change for next week, though, depending on how they land this thing. That's exactly it. It just depends. Like, if they hit the head... If they hit the nail on the head, we'd get season 2. But if they destroy it, then probably not. Sorry, I'm pulling up what Joe sent me real quick. So, these numbers, by the way, that you just put in chat are also, these are just for the premiere. It's not the longevity of the show. Andor had longevity to it. I think the Acolyte might as well, with the amount of people that just keep going and watching just to hate on it. It's only going to add to longevity. We don't have the full numbers for episode 1 through 8. These are just the premiere episodes. So 1 and 2. $11.40 was Pegasus Droid. Yep. I like parts of every Star Wars show. And there's parts that you probably didn't like. But, I mean, personally, I'm not going to just sit and listen and focus on the things that I hated and let that be my driving force. If I didn't like something about it, I'm just not going to talk about it. I'm not going to have interest in it, and I'm not going to just keep feeding into it because all it's going to do is just make me more upset and mad. Life's too short. I guarantee in 10 years, the people that are talking about Kiadi Mundi and shit, they're going to be bitching about it. And in 10 years, we're going to be so far past this, it's not even going to matter anymore. We're going to be on something new entirely. It's not even going to matter. Look at Velma. The people shit on it so much online that it got a second season due to the engagement. That's literally the case with Velma. Like, Joe is right on the money with that. That is literally the case. Like, yeah, prime example of it. The only trailer clip we haven't seen is Sol and Qimir ships flying through the planet's rings. That's not Qimir ships. That's a ship attached to Sol's. Maybe we'll get something later on that we'll do with the Clone Wars show like the prequels did, making it them better. I mean, it'd be nice. I kind of just I would rather us still get shows in that era first before jumping back. Like if because we just got confirmation that there's a new job for Lucasfilm for animation. So if, for example, if we were gonna get a Adventures show and that got squashed for a show during the Acolyte time period, or to the continuation of the Acolyte, I'd be a little upset because we have more stuff that we can still explore in that animation, or even like a Luke show in Legend with his Jedi Order. In regards to the numbers, episode 5 and 6 went viral, so a lot of new people tuned in, so the Acolyte has longevity like Andor. Exactly. No way they can land this thing in 43 minutes. Too many open questions. I mean, is that the actual runtime? Have we found out the full runtime of? Have we found out the full runtime? I'll look it up right now. The final runtime for both episodes will be 43 minutes each. And Disney Plus says that this one's the last one was 44. I mean, I guess it's close enough for it. So yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a lot. But if they do it like they did episode 5, where they're just boom, 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 then we're good. But if they lean too much on just story points that aren't moving the story forward, then yeah, I could see where it's too many questions being left open. What do you think will happen in episode 8? I just got here. I think we're going back to Brendok. I think that it'll be Sol, Osha, Qimir, and Mae all against one another. I don't know if we'll get a Plagueis ending just because of the article that we had discussed a little bit. I'm not too sure. There's what Space Chase is another one. Like we're getting that for sure, as well as I guarantee we're going back to Brendok. With how Leslie has been writing the show and how the show has been, and how we've revisited this place now twice, I feel like we're gonna go back to where it all started for the ending. It just seems like something she would do. I like The Last Jedi. People don't talk shit about it anymore. They just don't watch it or talk about it. I mean, Joe and I have talked about it a lot. But that's because we're trying to understand it and trying to get behind it. I mean, I don't want to hate the sequels. But at the same time, like, The Last Jedi isn't for me, and that's fine. I would want them to rectify why it is the way it is. Episode 5 and 7 was peak. Great Dead Airman. Thanks. I commend them for making a show not about the Skywalkers. I do too. They're like, we just need to get out of this period, I feel like. I will say, give it the whole 8 episodes. It is true. I don't know how they will make it interesting in more than 42 minutes with 3 separate stories fully finished, barely started. I hope they'll pull it off. I do too. And with this article, Leslie had said that they're not going to leave us hanging with the ending. So I'm kind of hoping that they do get all those questions answered. What are the essential questions that you want the show to answer by episode 8? What do you think will be okay for season 2 to get answers for? So I'm going to say definitely how the twins were created in that process. Qamir's master. What happened to Qimir with the Jedi Order. Honestly, could kind of care less onto what will happen with Osha and Mae. Honestly, after this interview, I'm more interested in, like, okay, so Mother Koril, what's going to happen with her? Where, like, we know she's going back to Dathomir from this article. So, I mean, where is that, I don't know, like, how does that fit into the finale is kind of where I'm like, okay, like, where does that come in? Mainly, I just want to figure out, like, what happened between Sol and Qimir. Who was Qamir's master? What happened to Qamir's back? Like, was it Vanestra? And everything else I mentioned. Like Kenobi, the only part everyone liked was the one epic saber battle. I mean, yeah, that's the the biggest thing I took away from it as well. I really want to see stories from Legends in animated form, like Tales of the Jedi Empire, but not canon episodes, and that they can be watched in any order, and that's on its own. I do too. I would love to get the NJO in animation. It'd be great to see. What footage do we have from episode 8 from the trailers? The space chase, and in that space chase, we can see that the planet that Soul is chasing her to is Brendok. It's extensive. I've talked about it in a couple of videos already. The lightsaber battle wasn't even good. It was okay. Which one are you talking about? There's lots of really good Force theologically in The Last Jedi. It just watered down the surrounding issues. Yeah, no, there is. I'd agree with that. Is it just me? But in The Force Awakens, I thought Snoke was so cool. Yeah, no, I love The Force Awakens. People jump the gun that Carrie-Anne Moss being wasted, but she's in 3 episodes and may possibly be in the 8th, so half the season she's in. Yeah, I think it's more of just like we didn't see much of her before she died, and that's where people are upset. I mean, I like seeing her a lot in this episode. I do wish we got more of her, but that's really just a personal gripe, I guess. They should have combined episodes 1 and 2, moved 7 in the earlier series, and none of the Civ lore explored. I agree. Like, if I were to restructure it, I would have had episode 1 and 2 together in an hour-long episode. I would have had episode 3 and 7 together, and then I would have had 4, 5, and 6 all together as well. Because then that's 3 episodes, and we still got 5 more to explore more about the Sith. The lightsaber fight, the episode is actually pretty good, except for the thirst. I mean, which one are we talking about for this episode? I'm talking about episode 7, the lightsaber fight. It was alright. I expected a mind-controlled Jedi Wookiee to do a whole lot more and a lot more damage. Like, I kind of thought it was going to be the Hulk being mind-controlled by Scarlet Witch in Age of Ultron. I kind of just thought he would go on a rampage, so to speak. There's 5 unanswered questions. Where's Koril? Why was Kanaka drawing the symbols? Why was Osha having a sister twin removed from her file? How did Qimir get the scar? And how was Osha created? I mean, I would say the Kanaka drawing the symbols was answered in this last episode. His mind is still tarnished from the mind controlling. He's like, if you go and watch the episode, the like astral plane, I guess we can say, of how Anaseo is talking to Torben, I think that's still haunting Kalneka, and it's still like in his brain. It's something he's dealing with every single day. That's probably why he not only we know why he went and exiled himself because of him using his claws, but I think this is also part of it. His mind is still muddy and murky from the tampering that Mother Anasea had done to him. Sorry, I need to get some water. I can't really speak right now. Why doesn't Dara have 2 dots in her eyes? I'm not too sure, because in the earlier scenes, she only has 1, and then after that, she has 2. That's kind of an unanswered question as well, but I don't know if it's entirely important for us to know. Kanaka should have been able to kill everyone in seconds. I agree. Like, he should have been able to do a lot more damage than he did. Do you think the way Stranger Things 4 got released would work for Star Wars? Like, releasing them in batches and arcs, and then ending episodes being longer. Oh, I agree. If we would have got this show all at once, I think it would have been received a lot better. And if it was done like Stranger Things Season 4 with Volume 1 and Volume 2, I think that would have been a great way to do it as well. You think that they'll have a post-credit scene they usually do for the finale? Yeah, without a doubt. The Wookiee seemed like an experienced master, given the Wookiees like 400 years. Yeah, Kanaka he's definitely older. But I don't think that shouldn't dumb down his ability. Maybe they weren't able to do it cost-wise, or maybe it just didn't work right with him being more of a threat. I'm not too sure. The movie business industry is definitely interesting, to say the least, of how like they go about things. Like, they could have had it done practical. They could have done it with wire work. They could have done it with CG. If they don't include Plagueis or the major player in creating the twins, I think the series had failed. I think that they will. They're gonna have to bring up why the twins were created. They probably will leave some of it out in the air, but I think we're gonna get more of it, especially with us going back to Brendok. I mean, Qimir knows something about how they were created too. So yeah, we're gonna be talked to about it. I bet the Wookiee fight we did get cost a lot of money and probably is the reason why I died off in episode 4. Yeah, I guarantee there's probably more to the fight and they had to cut things. Yeah. I don't hate the show, but one of my problems with it is all the characters found most interesting, Koril and Qimir and Indra, take a backseat overall for Mae and Osha. The story, yeah, and that's true. And but I also think that's part of like who the main character of the show is. From the get-go, we thought that the Acolyte, the main character, was Mae. It's not. It's Osha. We know that now. It's Osha. So I wish we would have got more for them, but also, if we just got longer episodes, I feel like we would have gotten the time we needed for them as well. If you wrote the finale, what would you do with it? I might save that for a video, depending on how the finale goes. If you've seen my Bad Batch video where I talked about like my fan fiction for what I want to make the finale, that's what I will probably make after the Acolyte comes out. Because I'll save that for a video though. Did you notice Mother Anastaea's body moved from the floor to the stairs with the other witches who collapsed? No, I thought her body was in the courtyard when they ran through and looked. Because they were in the courtyard when Soul was like grabbing her arm and pulling and tugging her along. I think maybe Mother Koril still at Brendok present day would be interesting. I mean, it would be, but I mean, Leslie said in this interview that she, if you know anything about her race, here I'll pull up exactly what she said. Hang on. Okay. So they asked about like where Mother Koril is, and Leslie's response was, her species will tell you a little bit about where she ends up, and she's a Zabrak. Zabraks are on Dathomir, so that's saying that she's going to Dathomir. With the dots, the dots on Indara's face, how she has like the one here and the one here. So is Qimir actually being honest with Osha in episode 6, or is he manipulating? Are the Sith as bad as we think? Yes and no. It's a perspective thing. So if you're like, for example, if you're a Jedi, you're being told that the Sith are this bad and evil religion that like they're pure evil. You gotta think if you're a Sith, it's the other way around. It's all about the perspective. The Jedi are evil. Look at Dooku in the Lost 20. Dooku left the Order because he didn't like the way things were going. He doesn't necessarily think the Jedi are evil, but he doesn't agree with those things. It's a perspective thing. And I think it was a bit of both. He was being honest with her, but he's also manipulating her because he wants her to turn to the dark side. He wants her to be his apprentice, his pupil, his acolyte. And that's ultimately going to be to overthrow his master. I like Star Trek shows runtime episodes. They do like 45 minutes plus with 10 episodes. I guess Andor did that. Yeah, I would love to, even if we got 6 episodes, make them an hour and a half long. I just don't want there to be like 12 episodes, or Bad Batch, for example. We had season 3 with 15 episodes. I'd say 8 of those episodes were filler. I just wish for the amount of episodes we're given, that time was used most efficiently. Do you think there will be a Force essence transfer if one of the twins dies, since they're symbolic? There could be. I don't know how likely it is though, because Leslie had said too in this article that because of how long Qimir and Osha, not Qimir, sorry, for as long as Osha and Mae have been separated, they're not nearly as powerful as they would have been if they stuck together the entire time. Because they've been away from together for so long, that connection has diminished. Oh, I messed up about Mother Koril. Thanks. Yeah, no worries. I do think the Virgins in the Force stems from the deep-ass hole some of the witches were chanting around. The power from whatever... Yeah, that hole was how they were created. I guarantee that's part of how they were created. That hole... that hole has some very interesting things about it, and I think we're going to deep dive into it to find out what really happened. If you know, you know. He's saying in Nestra. I believe he was talking about Indara because Vernestra doesn't have those dots by her eyes, so I think he's talking about Indara. Go watch it again. The head witches die in the courtyard, and then the shot from above shows her head dead on the stairs, surrounded by the witches. All right, I'm not gonna show it on stream, but I'm gonna go grab that right now because also too, it could be a perspective thing, like Soul's perspective from episode 7 and Mae's perspective from episode 3. All right, let me pull this up real quick. So if you were like a Force sensitive in the Star Wars universe, would you stand with the Jedi Order, or would you be not affiliated with the Jedi or Sith? I wouldn't be affiliated with either. I'd be almost like Kanan or like the Bendu. Kanan was more of Jedi, but like I would just be for the Force and trying to understand it, both good and bad, but not teetering too much to one side. And Insurgent, are you talking about episode 3 or 7? Because I'm on 3 right now and I'm going through it. I wish I could screen share, but I'll get hit by Disney. Probably a production mistake, like Anakin's lightsaber in Return of the Sith. I mean, Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because Palpatine was using Anakin's saber. It could be. No, okay, so where all the witches are, that's not Mother Anastasia. That's just another lady there. I'm watching it right now. So when they go out into the courtyard, though, that's when she sees her mom. Because her mother's laying there, and Soul passes her body, looks at her, and they're in the courtyard. I'm gonna throw this up really quickly, very quickly. I'm gonna throw it up. And I'm gonna take it down right away. So this is where they died. This is where the witches died. All in that room. Okay, so then they're out in the courtyard. And then body, courtyard. So that's in episode 3. Sith murder people, of course they're evil. Jedi don't. Pretty black and white. I mean, yeah, but the Jedi also abduct children. Doesn't that seem pretty evil? They're stripping children away from their families. It goes both ways. Money is on a tree. It seems like a respawn point for the girls. I don't know if it's a respawn point, but that tree also has something to do with it as well. That hole is how they were created. Okay. Tree light versions, maybe they're cool. Maybe it's possible. Daphne King did a good job in the show. Just adding. Oh yeah, no, Daphne King was great. Do you think episode 8 will answer how Qimir met Mae and surviving the fall? Yeah, I think so as well. I think we will, without a doubt. Ewok, did you see that? Did you see what I was just showing on stream? Her body is in the courtyard, not with the witches. I don't think I can show it again on stream because I'll get dinged for copyright. Unfortunately. Remember Mae went back to the tree after the incident. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that tree means something, but we didn't see her just wake up there. So I'm kind of, and like the hole that she fell down was entirely different from the hole that they created, like that they were like worshiping. So it's very interesting to see like how that all is gonna work out. I even like from when I tried making the video today, I spent 40 minutes trying to find my battery for my Galaxy's Edge sabers because I have a yellow crabo crystal, and I guess the Legacy sabers batteries don't work with them. Because I was gonna do the thing like obviously Torben was doing the Obi Annie, so I was gonna make a joke about it, but didn't really work out because don't have any batteries. But also stay on the lookout too in the next hopefully week or two. Whenever Theory Sabers, that's not her on the stairs. I went over that. That's entirely different witch that's there. That's not my mother Anasea. It looks very similar to her, but it's not her on the steps because they visibly go outside to see her body. I feel like the finale showdown is death on Brendok with the Ascension ceremony will complete the Ocean May and they'll combine into one. That's very possible. But we're definitely going back to Brendok because I found out through looking through the video episodes and stuff again, and the trailer footage, the space chase is Mae is going to Brendok. She's going there to get away from Soul, and that's why Soul, when they jump to hyperspace, I'm assuming they're probably going back to where it all started, and then when Mae escapes, she's trying to get to Brendok. Because we didn't see where Soul was jumping to, but I'm assuming it's Brendok. The witch foreseeing Order 66 was crazy. Yes, but she didn't. And this article confirms that she didn't know it was Order 66, so to speak. She just knew that based off of how the Jedi were interested in her children, that she knows that they would make the same mistake again. Here, I'll pull up exactly where it says. So, like, she asked, like, is it just a prediction, or does she know about, like, Order 66? And Leslie Headland had said, I think she's seeing the way the Jedi are reacting to her children. She may not know this exactly, but she knows that they will make the same mistake with Anakin. They don't know about Anakin, but they know that based off of how they're acting towards her children, that they will make the same mistake with another child or family or faction again. That's what she's saying. So she didn't foresee Order 66. She didn't know about Order 66 itself. She just knew that the Jedi would make the same mistake. Because it's like poetry. Yeah, there are some behind-the-scenes photos of long-hair Soul back at the witch's place, too. Yes, there is. That's also in one of the videos that I had made. I think it's episode 5. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. She was warning them about karma. You're exactly right. That makes sense. Great that you you think so, because sometimes I feel like I'm not even making sense. So if I'm making sense to you, great. I'm glad. Yeah, I'll even see if I can find, because a lot of people are. I know the second I show this, a lot of people are gonna say that this is Kalneka's like living quarters. It's not. I promise you, this is not. Because this is daytime, and that was middle of the nighttime. The moons in the chase are 100% Brendok. Don't remember if she was heading toward or away from the planet. She's heading towards it. And in a literal sense, Anakin's good intentions of saving Padme was the final nail in the coffin. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yes, because there's an interview on the Star Wars, or not a video, not an interview, sorry, on the Star Wars YouTube channel. Leslie Headland is talking about casting Li Zhongjie, and in then we see Soul in the compound. And this is showing stuff from episode 8 and episode 3.
Was writing the character of Soul when Squid Game came out. I said that's Soul.
Okay, so right here,
We have some
Brendok. if I pull up this article real quick with Tony from Star Wars Sith. That's not what I clicked. There we go. Boom. So this is shot
And
very.
then
I wonder what Yoda and Yaddle are up to during the show. I wonder making Grogu, dude. That's what they're doing. So this shot is of Sol during the fight with Qimir, but then this one right here, this is in the compound. This is not the same place. This is not where the fight was with Kalnaka.
Cool Jedi.
Sorry, not the Kalnaka, where the Qimir fight was by Kalnaka's house. And there's also one more I gotta grab too. Right here. This might look like Kalnaka's compound, but it's not. This is where the witches are in Brendok. This is from episode 8. Are those rings Brendok or the ice moon that orbits it? It looks away from the planet itself. Yeah, it's the ice moon. Like it's the place that you see in the background. Like it's the same setting just out in space. If that makes sense. Have you talked about Qimir possibly having a prolonged life? Maybe the magic pool that keeps him alive. Like, I haven't talked about it, but I know Tony from Star Wars Sith has. And if you haven't seen his video on it, go ahead and watch it. He hits the nail on the head and said everything that I could have said. I'll go ahead and put that video in the chat in just 1 second as well. They fly through the Saturn rings of the blue planet above Brendok. Yep. That's what I'm saying. Like, we're going to Brendok. Maybe Tony did a stream. He did a stream, I think, where he talked about his age. Yeah, right here. I hope this week goes by super fast. The hype is going to be insane for when the finale drops. Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, I work from today through next Tuesday, probably even next Wednesday. So I work the next 7 days straight. And it's during the middle of the day, and the middle of the day is when I make my videos. So I'm going to try and, in the next 3 days, like record, edit, and make my video and have it up by Sunday or Monday for episode, for the finale. Because I'm not having a lot going into it and discussing it. I won't make an ass of myself again saying that, like, we're going to get the Space Chases episode, because there is no other episode we're getting, so it's going to be happening. But yeah, I'm going to be breaking down everything. If you haven't seen the leaks, don't go on Reddit, but there is also footage and stuff from the finale. If you look hard enough, you can find it, but don't post it in here. Don't talk about it. None of that, please. Plagueis Or's master could potentially be involved. It is very true, and Leslie Headland even mentioned that if they get a season 2, it's something that she wants to explore, and she knows how she would do it. It would just be very complicated and messy. Whatever that means. Which is also confusing with what that means. Prediction. Osha kills Sol, and Qimir kills Mae. I think you're right on the money. Do the witches collect spirits of their elders who die? She was able to talk to the Jedi while talking to Torben in his head. It's possible. I think the more of talking to one person while talking to the other one was more of just the power that Mother Anastasia had. But I think Joe from Jar Jar Jargon is right on the money with this prediction. That Osha will kill Sol, and Qimir will kill Mae. And then that'll lead to probably a cliffhanger ending, honestly, where we see them like walking up the steps and we see the hooded figure from episode 3 and it turns out to be Plagueis. Could we see Osha bleeding Sol's kyber crystal? That would be sick. I would love to see that. I want to see a bleeding of a crystal in live action, especially after Jedi Survivor. That, yeah, I would love to see that. Um, but yeah, if any of you want to check out this Nerdist article and read into anything, there's a lot in here. And if you haven't watched the Mary Sue interview with Leslie Headland, it's very interesting. And there's a lot of things. I debated making a video on it, but I know a bunch of videos on it are just shitposting or just full on hating it. So I don't want to have that in here or in the chat. But it's definitely interesting. There's a lot in here that I want to talk about and go over. I could very well go over it if you guys want to. I can go ahead and make a poll right now. I'll do that. All right, polls out. Please go and react to it. I want to know on the red and blue planet above Brendok, possibly Sith Master. It's possible. I kind of wonder, because the planet that Qimir is on, where he has the cortosis, I guarantee is the same planet that Plagueis is on, or Tenebrous. There will not be a season 2. It's not fully confirmed, but like Joe had said earlier, all the hate from Velma season 1 granted them a season 2. So everyone that's been bashing this show, just be mindful. It could come back to bite you in the ass. You never know. I'm going to get a couple more minutes before I go ahead and see about this.
So, hi,
interview.
Leslie. How are you?
Because I don't know if I can get. I don't think I can get hit copyright for it, but I don't want to if it's possible. Qimir and Oshar on Brendok. It's just a coastline. I don't think that they're on Brendok. I think it's someplace entirely different. I'll pull up the name of the planet right now. I know Retney already figured it out. Sorry, I gotta sneeze. 1 second. Back. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to take a look at that in a second. Where is this thing from Retney? I know the planet starts with a D. Maybe somebody else can find it before I can. I mean, sometimes financial reasons can impact things such as such as participation. I could see Disney hold off on new shows for a bit. I mean, we already have shows that started filming 2 years ago that are still coming out. We're still getting not Acolyte. We're getting Ahsoka season 2 that starts filming back to back with John's movie. We also are getting Andor season 2. We're getting Skeleton Crew. So those are all still coming out. And then we got the movies. I guess after the movies, we'd have to see what is going to come out. Because those shows will take us right into then when the movies come out. I can't find Retney's post on it, but yeah, the planet starts with a D. The only reason I'd be mad about a season 2 is the $200 million that could go to better story, plus that money into Kenobi season 2, higher writers. ChatGPT doesn't count, put the money in Ahsoka. Love it. Yeah, and a lot of people too don't. I don't know if they don't realize or don't care, but like Revenge of the Sith. Well, I'll look up the budget right now. So the Revenge of the Sith budget was 113 million. So people also have to realize inflation is a thing too. I will say though, Acolyte and Dune 2 had the same budget. It just all depends on where that money goes in the budget that'll make or break the project. So if the money is put into better things this time around, I think that we will be in better hands. Dear God, please have a Plagueis connection. I would hope so. The Jedi did nothing wrong. Osha killing Sol wouldn't make sense. He was protecting Mae. Ahsoka Season 2, Acolyte Season 2, they keep creating new ways to celebrate mediocrity. Okay. There's one thing I was going to mention here. Jedi didn't do anything wrong. The Jedi have always done something wrong. It's just a matter of perspective. If I were to, okay, if you had a child and let's say that they were 3 years old, and if I just randomly one day came into your house and told you I was taking your kid because they have this special ability, and then you're never gonna be able to see your kid again, and then just abducted them and left, you would think pretty badly of me. It's a perspective thing once again. That's the best way I can put it. If you had a child and I came into your house randomly, unwarranted, and just took your child and told you that they're too powerful and that we need them for the order, and then just dipped, you would be fucking furious. You can't tell me otherwise. Hire Hawk Tua Girl for a cameo in the episode 8 reshoots. Okay. Beldemic. I believe you were right. That is the planet name. Let me look it up real quick. Just double check. Yeah. Trinity's Plagueis, the gender for Plagueis. I mean, if Carry-On Moss was Plagueis, I guess I can get behind that, because it's Carry-On Moss. Dank Ferric, the Jedi have always been wrong. Yes, they have, and it's just a perspective thing. Like, the Sith aren't right either, by the way. Like, I'm not saying that the Sith are, like, right and they are the better order. People gotta remember, the Sith Empire and the Jedi Order are religions. It's a religious cult. Both of them are. Twist M. Night Shyamalan has played. Okay. I could get behind that as well. Is the child abduction still canon, or is that going to Legends? Dude, we saw it in the show. They're trying to take, like, they went in there. Yes, they went in there to see if the children are being harmed, but mainly Sol wanted to take a Padawan. And the second that he saw them using the Force by the tree, he knew. I mean, look at Anakin. He wasn't necessarily abducted, but it's the same thing. You're taking a child from their family. Obi-Wan was taken as a very small child. In Bad Batch, we saw Cad Bane taking children from their mothers for the Empire, for their experiments. Essentially, that's the same fucking thing the Jedi were doing. That is the same exact thing the Jedi were doing. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and watch this interview since we now have half the viewership in here and votes. So, if you don't want to watch along, I appreciate you all being here as well, as long as you have been. But I'm going to go ahead and play this, and we will get right into it. I'll pause throughout to discuss. I'm going to go ahead and hide the chat. Breaking and entering is... Spying is wrong. I mean... it depends. Like, Sol very much did both. Twice. So, it's... Religion requires a higher power to be worshipped. The Jedi and Sith don't worship the Force, they use it. Yeah, but the Jedi is still a religious cult. Look at the Rise of Skywalker. All the Sith followers that were there, that's a religious thing. Religion is also different in every single religion. The meaning behind it is different. I mean, we're also talking about a galaxy far, far away that could have different meanings for a sense of religion. Semantics, exactly. I'd be okay with it. My kid sucks. Okay. All right. On that note, we're gonna watch this interview.
So, hi, Leslie. How are you?
Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you. So, my first question is kind of off the rails already because I want to know what
Shmi is a descendant of this coven.
at Lucasfilm.
Interesting.
Because, like, I know the dumbest argument that people have had about the show about Kayadi Mandi, and I'm like, here's the thing. It was deemed not canon anymore, and as someone who I know you also love a non-canon bitch in Mara Jade, what is kind of the deal with Lucasfilm and the stuff that was canon that is now no longer canon? How do they?
All right, so I'm gonna talk about that real quick. The Kiadi money thing, I can understand why people are upset because of the age thing, but at the same time, a year ago, nobody gave a shit about Kiadi money's age. Nobody knew it by the back of their hand. I guarantee it. And if anyone did, and they say that they did, they're fucking lying to you. I'm just being honest. It's more than just an age thing. It's about it undermining the line from Revenge of the Sith, but it's not that big of a deal.
What you can and cannot do with it.
Soul as a
Well,
pedo?
definitely
Okay.
with,
The Jedi aren't
well,
truly
there's
good, in my
Pablo.
opinion. Yeah, but
Mhm.
neither
Yeah,
is
we all
anybody.
know. So Pablo is always the person that I go to and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this thing. I think it works for, these narrative reasons.
If you don't know, Pablo Hidalgo is like the lore master at Lucasfilm.
But you let me know. I know that in Legends it's this, and I know that in canon it's this, but I'm not totally up to date in terms of how you guys feel about it as a studio. So I don't know what went on with Chiarimundi. I heard there was some drama.
It's the dumbest thing ever. It's about a birthday. But I was like, it's not
Is it
deemed,
really?
yeah. But I was like, it's not deemed canon anymore. And I like looked that up and I was like, yeah, because it was like in a card and all this stuff. And I was like, listen, I know Leslie is like me and we love non-canon characters.
Yes, yeah, non-canon canon.
The point of that line by Mundi is just an ironic one. People take it to heart. That's exactly what it is. I mean, yes, there is meaning behind it. But to the Jedi, the Sith may be extinct for 1,000 years. But we know from the Maul books and from Maul and Palpatine in The Phantom Menace, Maul literally says, unless we reveal ourselves, unless we will have our revenge. The Sith are around. They're just not revealing themselves to the Jedi. Qimir is willing to show himself to the Jedi, reveal himself, because he knows he'll have to kill him anyway. That's the entire point of it.
Canon is the best.
It's to show that the Jedi were so high-minded to think that the Sith weren't even around anymore. To not even think for a second that they could be in the shadows. They didn't give a shit.
Kind of. Yeah.
For like half of the characters I love, I'm like, they're not canon anymore.
They're gone. They're gone. Jason
don't-
and Jaina, they're gone. Mara Jade's
No.
gone.
Okay, I like the
And
Jaina and
my
Jason mentioned as well as Mara.
But speaking of twins, great. Twins are always a theme in Star Wars, which I do think is very cool that the show is like, yep, it's everywhere. Twins are just in Star Wars. When you guys were orchestrating Mae and Osha in the beginning and trying to navigate exactly how those two characters would function as twins and also like represent kind of the light and the dark as the other twins have done in the past, kind of Luke and Leia are the exception to the twin rule. But how did you guys kind of navigate how that would all work? Because they're not exactly here's the light and here's the dark. They both kind of have that gray area.
That's so true. And it's definitely not a new trope to have, the bad twin and the good twin, like the light twin and the dark twin, and then they switch places and then they switch back. Like
She's
that's
telling
a
okay.
pretty-
She's telling you exactly what's happening in this next episode. I'm telling you that, by the way. Like, like Leslie just spoiling it just spoiled it, or not. Like she's hinting at it. Like it's like. Sorry, I just want to read a couple of these real quick. What about David Harwood? Will he be Plagueis? Not too sure. The point of the line, I already talked about that. Shmi was M. Night Shyamalan. All right. It shows the ignorance of the Jedi. It does. This may be the first non-biased channel I've seen regarding this show. Just objective. I subscribed. I appreciate it. Not, I mean, there's bad things. There's good things. There's things that don't make sense. There's things that do make sense. It's just Star Wars, and I don't want to think about the hate stuff because all it's gonna do is just irritate me. I mean, breaking and entering into a house is wrong. Spying on someone in the house is wrong. Sorry, typo. I mean, either way, it's all wrong to begin with. So yeah.
I would say reliable way of telling a thematic.
Exactly. Sorry. The Jedi couldn't even sense a Sith was the Chancellor. The Yoda was standing across from Palpatine at Qui-Gon's funeral and couldn't sense that he was a Sith. So take that into account.
Story utilizing twin characters.
Stop pausing.
But I will say, to answer your question, so much of that was a mandala. Like, as a writer, you know why you're doing something thematically. You can definitely justify, especially a choice like that one. You can also justify it character-wise, narratively-wise, personally, feeling bifurcated as a person, as a human, as a woman. Like, you can make all of those choices, but somebody has to actually do it. And I felt like Amandala, when she understood the breadth of what she would be doing, dug so deep into both of the girls early on, deciding their walks, like early on deciding,
Qimir will need to be venomous. He could be, or he could be one of the other several apprentices that Plagueis and Tenebrous had as their apprentices, because they were trying to kill each other relentlessly with acolytes.
What their sort of animal familiar might be if they had one. Deciding who was born first, who was born second. Going into a bunch of really granular things that I was very impressed by, and I don't think the whole theme wouldn't work if her performance wasn't how great as it is.
Yeah. Well, and it really isn't like it makes the the witch, the third episode with the witches, Destiny, right?
Destiny, yeah.
I was like, I know it's not one of the slashes because then it's day and night. Like, I was going through all the episode names in my head. But I love in Destiny where it is that's where you see their differences the most, because it's like when you see them and they're older, they're kind of like more comfortable in themselves, and they're like, oh, my sister is actually alive. That's crazy. And we don't see the like tension that exists when we see them as kids. When you guys were working on making sure that those twins did have that energy, so it played in, how did you kind of navigate explaining all of this to like these young girls being like, okay, well, eventually you're gonna play these two who one thinks they're dead and it's a whole fight, but we have to understand it here in order for it to work when we see them reunited?
Well, we were so lucky to have Leia and Loren, who are just both so gifted and so natural. And obviously, like, whenever you put a kid actor in Star Wars, your heart worries for them. You're just like
Jake Lloyd's a prime example.
Doing the auditions,
Same thing with the Leia actress.
What am I doing to these young women? But I think that we really lucked out with, like, we really needed them sort of more than they needed the job, I think, because like you said, we needed natural, brilliant, talented. Now I sound like that Lady Gaga. Not afraid to reference or not reference, vomit on it, put it in a blender. So that was how I directed them, was by just quoting that Lady Gaga. Yeah. No, Kay directed them, Koganada directed them, and he was so wonderful with guiding their performances, because they're young girls, but they're also twins. They already sort of have that natural connection with each other.
You're still going on about Shmi.
Friction with each other, and then their personalities are so distinct, because I think that's what happens with sisters as well, twins or not, is just you start to react to my sister and I, my closest in age sister and I are we're like just over a year is between us, and we almost felt like twins sometimes because we always shared a room and all of that. So much of my personality is like in reaction to her. So,
Yeah.
but it's interesting that you asked about that though too, because we decided to cast fraternal twins not just because Leia and Loren were so great, but I actually auditioned several identical twins, and it was I cut them together when in making the decision. And with identical twins, it was very difficult to tell them apart. Really to track those types of the performances that you're talking about, the differentiation between the two of them.
Interesting.
So yeah, so
Did not expect that.
it was one of those things that I was like, okay, we do have this adult actor playing both roles, but if we don't have this differentiation between the two of them, I'm not sure we're going to understand how important um, the um, the differences between them are, and that's something an adult actor can, especially if they're a genius like Amanda, But an adult actor can do that. I think it's harder for child actors to emulate two separate performances when they're in the same room with each other, and they already have the experience of being twins, and they already have the experience of most twins in Hollywood, they're playing the same character, they're being switched out, so they're used to doing exactly what the other twin did.
Yeah.
So long-winded answer, but that's really all the stuff that went into it. It was very difficult to.
What is this? Koril's necklace is a metal version of young Anakin when he says goodbye to Shmi. My whiteboard is running out of room.
And it was really hard, and I'm really grateful that I had the actors that I did. That I had Koganada, I had Jen Bryan. Yeah, I could talk about it forever. So many acting choices were made, but so many character design choices were made as well to differentiate the girls in their adulthood as well.
Yeah. Well, that was my favorite thing about episode 5 was when Mae cuts her hair, and I'm like, girl, you still got that thing on your forehead. Move your hair. And
you got. Like, they could just move your hair. They could just move, like, and they'd be like,
huh.
She's like, it's okay. It's interesting. It plays out very interestingly in the next episode.
I
won't say. I don't know if it was the greatest idea, but she was definitely.
She was thinking. She was.
Yeah, I will say it. That was definitely a little too perfect in the cutting of the hair. Like that was like where it was a little too like perfect. That's all I would say about that. It was like it just I mean smell like burnt hair in here? I don't know. I just feel like it was a little too perfect. That's all I gotta say about that. It was just a little too perfect.
Yeah, we'll put it this way. She was thinking emotionally. She was definitely.
She was thinking emotionally. Basil's like, here I come. Like,
Basil's like, I got it. I'm a little worried. Somebody sent me. I got a lot of tweets from the episode 5 because people were just sending me a bunch of screenshots, and one of them was like, it was like, I hope Pip's okay, and I was like, or like, I hope Pip comes back or something, and I was like, he's there, like he's maybe it was Basil picked him up.
I was well aware because I was like, well, my favorite character is dead, which is a Wookiee. And so I was like, I'm going to follow the other furry little thing around.
It's not the last time you see him, though. It's not the last time you see Kelnaka. So
good, because I love a Wookiee. They're my favorite characters in all of Star Wars. And I was like, cool, this one's a Jedi. And then he died.
And it was like, bye, off screen death. The worst kind of death. Yeah.
Which the first time I watched that episode, I was like, oh, great, Kelnaka's coming back in the next episode. And because me and my roommate fully had missed the Kelnaka was dead in the chair. And then I went, it was like, oh, he's gone. Like, I was like, I missed that he was sitting in the chair.
He's dead. He's dead. He's dead, baby. He's dead. I was well, I won't bore you with that story, but yeah.
Shmi doesn't have an East European accent, too. That's pretty witchy. Just like Koril's accent.
Right. So please ask me questions.
So you did lead up to episode 5, which most shows you have to give them time to kind of grow, and this one really did grow in a way that like I sent you this, but my brother called me on the phone after having a baby to talk to me about Manny Jacinko's arms because he was like very team the master is going to be Manny Jacinko, and I was like,
Yes.
oh,
It was
okay, it's
obvious.
gonna be one of her moms or one of their moms, or it's gonna be this, and then he was like, no, I'm 100% Manny Jacinko, and then as soon as I saw the arms, I was like, damn, my brother was correct.
Baby. Well, it's interesting because of the reveal of Manny, quote unquote.
Um,
Um, uh, it was interesting working on the show. There were several writers, cast, crew. Well, we've got to preserve the surprise. This is a big reveal here, and I was like, I just feel like as a fan, if you announce that cast, which we did back in like 2 years ago or
yeah.
whatever it was. If I see Manny Jacinto uh, as third on the call sheet, basically, um, I'm like secret bad guy. Like I don't even need to know like what the
Mhm.
log line to the show is. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh right, so secret bad guy. He'll be secret bad guy, and something else will happen. See what we'll see how it goes down. So, but I was actually because the central mystery of the show is much more about Soul and Osha's relationship or Soul's
Mhm.
relationship to the twins. Uh, the reveal of the Master Mae Surge to me was basically I don't
To be to be fair, for the burnt hair thing, that is legit like a technique people use to treat the dreads, burning the ends. I'm reaching a bit there. I mean, no, my growing up, my almost stepdad had dreadlocks, and that was yeah. But I mean, she just cut it to where it was so perfect that it was like okay, like we know what you're
say a
doing here,
red herring,
like.
but essentially it was like
Okay, Ewok.
here's the sub mystery, I would guess,
It's just
so
30
that
minutes
you
long.
would get
I didn't realize
in
how
this
long it
space
was.
as a viewer just
Once I finish this, I'm probably gonna end stream just because I haven't eaten really anything today and I'm starving. I'm gonna go make some lunch.
specifically a Star Wars fan and think, oh, they want me to like care about this for several more episodes. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, we're just going to do it now. And so he can murder these people. And so to me, it was not preserving the surprise was not very important. Like what was important to me was preserving the character design. That was the thing that I was very concerned about getting out was, what Manny looked like once you saw him because he's inspired by this character Drunken Cat in Come Drink with Me, which I think I said in another interview. And in that movie, like something's up with this guy. You're not, they're not looking for a master, so it's a little bit different.
Reaching a
But you
sense of
know
it
what's
still doesn't
going on
make
with this guy.
sense
There's another
context
story
of the
going
scene.
on with
Yeah.
with Golden Swallow and all this other stuff. But when he reveals himself, you're like, that's a different fucking person. Do you know what I mean? Like that's a
I agree completely. Like the difference between Qimir and the Stranger was easily a career defining performance from Manny Jacinto. Fucking perfect.
his role is not a huge surprise, but that's a
Imagine many Ewoks end up getting dreads.
different vibe. And I didn't realize that
Wicket with dreads.
I didn't realize that Manny was going to be as um the only word I can think of is like groundbreaking to me. Seriously, like I knew he was a great actor. I just didn't realize
That's all I'm saying. Like yeah, it was just so
when
fast
I
and so
watched
like
him and I
on
watched
point.
him play the character the way he did. And he really built that character from the ground up. It's a very mysterious character on paper. So much of him is a secret. Even his name is not Qimir. So
I hope
it
we find out his real name, not like the Darth name, but his actual name. Um, before the show ends.
wasn't like Amandala, who had the whole season, had all the scripts to really understand, like, I can chart this character arc and et cetera, et cetera. Like, Manny was sort of dropped into the middle of this story and said, okay, now you have to take over the story. Good luck, so,
Well, and it's crazy because it's like I saw so many things, and I was one of them that was just yelling Bortles, and like everyone was talking about how did Jason Mendoza go from like Jason Mendoza to the hot Star Wars baddie. And I do love that we do get to still see him because like before it was like the master was just like, let me say this thing about the acolyte on a beach, and then I'm like, I'm gonna be here in the woods. But then we see like the human that is that kind of darkness in
Yeah.
the like when he's fixing Osha and like healing her when she's standing, like laying in the woods, and like little things. And it's like it came from. I was like, oh, this is very almost Scorpio-y because he's like it's revenge driven more than just being like I'm evil in the darkness.
Is it a mandala or a mandala? I think it's spelled like a mandala, but it's pronounced a mandala though. Just like how it's like Adriana, sorry, or it's like Ariana or Ariana. It's just like kind of like one of those things.
And I liked it.
Or
We
Adriana,
were
Adriana.
working on like not the killings and not like Jackie dying in the worst possible way or a neck break. Was it important for you guys to like highlight like
Talking about in the scene in episode 5 where Mae takes a yellow lightsaber off the ground and cuts her hair.
he's still a dude who very clearly like something happened that turned him into this, and it's not just
Yes.
an evil for evil's sake.
Absolutely. Yeah. He always had to feel like he was operating from a place that I think what you're saying, it had to be clear.
So Leslie didn't deny that he was force healing her because I had mentioned it in my video and people were like, no, he was just turning it over to the force. He wasn't force healing her. Leslie didn't deny it when she just said that she was force healing. So, or that he was force healing. So I guess he was force healing her in some way.
Clear that his character was always operating from I want to say a human place, although that's a strange word to use in Star Wars, but for the sake of the answer, from a human place, meaning that as a human audience member, you would be able to follow and relate with maybe not the murder, but you could definitely relate with what he's saying. When he says, I want freedom, they're like, well, yeah, everybody, how can you not want that? When he says,
They were trying to make it sound like Nelson Mandela.
the reason I'm doing this is
Not
so
at
you
all,
say
man.
I can't exist. Like it's a very almost countercultural.
Why doesn't it make sense? You talking about the haircutting? Because it was just so perfect to the point where Soul couldn't tell the difference. Like it was like when she cuts it, it looks a little like messed up. It looks like a little disheveled. Like it's not perfect. But in the next scene where she's wearing her clothes, it's the exact same.
Idea for I rewrote that scene so many times. I can't tell you that when I finally got you brought her here, I was like, thank you, Jesus.
It could be a nitpick, but it's also like, yeah, it is a show. It could be a nitpick, but I know if I had a lightsaber and I went to go cut my hair, it wouldn't be exactly the exact perfect as my identical twin's hair. It's impossible.
I was like, it's so important what the first.
And I was joking
line
about it when I mentioned it to begin
says,
with.
So that exactly what you're saying, like you just get locked into his point of view as a character, not a bad guy. And I think him saying you brought her here tells you almost everything that you need to know about the character, which is like, yes, I'm brutal. Yes, I just did something unforgivable, but you brought her here. Like you recruit children and you train them and you bring them into situations that they shouldn't be in. And now you're mad at me,
That's exactly what I talked about earlier with the Jedi and the children. That's literally exactly what I mentioned.
Just putting it out there that possibly that could be the case. So he ended up being essentially very anti-establishment, which is obviously what the rebels are and the resistance is in Star Wars normally. But once I locked into like, oh right, he's the voice of the the counterculture of this era. which is why it's so important to go through those first 4 episodes, because I think if you don't know what this world of Star Wars, the High Republic, is like, which we haven't seen in live action, you have to understand that the Jedi are not the Jedi that they are in the prequels. They're not the Jedi that they are, um, pre and post Battle of Yavin. Like they're in a different space where they're operating with less um, oversight, number one, and they're also operating with, I think, a little more hubris. Like, of course, we're doing the right thing. We're doing the right thing. This is how we've always done it, and that's the right thing. Of course, we're, when we seeing them on Brendok.
Child soldiers is exactly. The haircut is the least of the show's concerns. It's not even a concern. I was making a joke about it. I genuinely was making a joke about it. So to anyone who's getting upset about me making a joke about the haircut, is just get out of here then. Like, I was joking because I was like, it's not always going to be that perfect. It was just a joke. That was it. If you know me at all, you would know that I've been, along with Tony from Star Wars Sith, the Bendu of this show. I don't shit on it. I don't hate on it. I don't nitpick the small little things just to bitch about it. I don't also praise it for being how amazing it is. I'm literally in the middle of everything.
And seeing how they negotiate the issue with the witches, and how children may be recruited by them. I mean, I know that sort of the idea, if I can sort of unpack it, I'm assuming that the idea was that parents give up their children almost as an act of public service. Like, we have a force sensitive child, they would be better with you guys to train, et cetera, et cetera. But I think if, like,
okay, Cecil,
they don't align their belief with the Jedi, and I'm assuming that there are some Force users that don't. Like, would they see children going to the Jedi as a good thing? I don't know. To me, it was important that the audience understood all of that. That, like, there's this whole other way of looking at this world that isn't Qui-Gon getting Anakin out of a horrible situation so that he can become a Jedi. So it's a positive coded transition to, well, maybe that was a really positive situation, but perhaps there were other ones that were not. And did the Jedi learn from that? And when they did learn from that, is that why when Anakin shows up, they're like, he's too old to train? Like, we can't, we've learned that this doesn't work. Like, I don't know. Those were the things that I was interested in. And killing Carrie Ann off, so much of that was about just get ready, because the Jedi are gonna take some L's, and people are gonna die. And especially Jedi who have experienced, interactions with Sith on this show are gonna die. So, spoiler alert.
People are dying.
People are dead.
For my last question, I have to ask, because we are now set up with 2 different pairings.
I like that a lot, James.
On whatever together, because
we flipped mentors.
Because Mae is with Master Soul, and Osha is with Qimir. But also, like, I probably looked way into it, but I was like, well, something happened with Soul and Qimir, because he said the line, like, you didn't know, and I was like, I'm sure he was talking about when they met before, but I'm thinking it's something much deeper that happened. When you do have, what can you tease of all these pairings, and like what happens in the future that's not like, here's everything that happens in the next episode?
I think what I can say,
she's also not the only one who looked into it. I made a video about it saying that, like, Soul could very easily have been Qamir's master. This was before episode 6, so before we saw the slashes on his back that makes it Vernestra. But I had said that he easily could have been master and apprentice, and everyone dogged at me for it. It was like, oh, you're looking into it too far and everything. That's not the case, because I even said Qimir is a Jedi. He was a Jedi. And everyone's like, no, he wasn't. He was just a merchant worker. No, the fuck he wasn't. The next episode confirmed it.
Say about Manny's character in Osha is that, he's looking for an acolyte. He's looking for a pupil. I think it's pretty clear after this episode that he sees potential in Osha. Osha obviously being force sensitive, not having trained, but in the Sith world, does that matter? Is there a different? We don't know much about their policies on training. You know,
Mhm.
we know that like, you know, a little bit
I
with
think we
like
do from Legends, but
Tyrannus and Ventress and stuff. You know, we know a little bit, but most of the time those are people that started as Jedi, as Osha did. So the question then becomes, well, is he going to be able to turn her in some way? And so I'll tease that's obviously something but I don't even think that's a tease. I think it's something that if you're watching, it's very clear that's the next step. But what I can tease about it is that I was always really hit by Obi-Wan's line in A New Hope when he says Vader was seduced by the dark side. That made me feel weird because I was a kid and I didn't really understand what that word meant. And then later when I did, I was like, what's he talking about? So
not that way.
with the way that someone is turned to the dark side or someone joins the Sith, it's to me, it's all about seduction. It's all about appealing to the part of that person um, or the thing that person wants the most. You know, with Anakin, it was to save his wife. You know, it was to stop the suffering of the person he loved more than anything in the world, more than his own, you know, self. That's why it's so tragic. Like he he almost like put her over so much stuff that he couldn't see the forest for the trees. Um, and with Mae, it was revenge. Manny was definitely, you know, feeding into, well, if you want revenge, then, you know, come with me and you can do that. So Osha is going to be a different tactic. Like, what does Osha want? You know, and what does she want, you know, more than her present moral code would allow, when would what would her present moral code crumble?
That's actually a really good question. I don't know if I even have an answer for what I could think that would be. Ewok says, I'm glad that she's a fan because she's going to put Plagueis in the end. I really hope so. Law, sad they made him suffer through this interview. Who was suffering?
Under if she was offered. And I think for Osha, it's something more emotional. And I think if you've been watching the show, you know, close enough, I think you'll know where that's headed. And then I think with Mae and Soul, it's just, well, I'll just put it this way. I don't think Soul's a very powerful Jedi. I don't think he's totally in the dark about who's on that ship with him. That's what I'll say. Like,
Yeah, she thinks she's pulling a fast one, and I was like, I don't think you're pulling a fast
like, let's see how that works
I think
out.
Soul knew
Let's see
from
how
the
that works
second
out for you, baby.
when Soul goes to take her hand when he's on the ground, he looks at her and does like a, and then he knows. He knows right away. He was just toying with her the entire time.
But again, I think like not, you know, nodding your head to something and saying like, yeah, this is what's gonna happen. Like Manny's reveal, it's like this is probably what's gonna happen. Again, it's not the tease as much as it's the execution. Like, you know, do you know how we're gonna do that? Not what are we gonna do? I feel like in a spoilers, a post spoilers consumption age, it becomes, you know, uh that's where you get the like subverting expectations and the like, you know, don't tell me anything and, you know, blow my mind. I mean, there's so many things that people have sent me who work on the show, like so many fan theories that people have sent me that I'm like, yeah, that's exactly correct. Like, I'm not then gonna like pivot and be like, no, 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 that's not what happened. You know, like stuff
now
that
you got us.
people have guessed stuff that I'm like, yeah, that's, if we get a season 2, that is exactly what happened. Yes, you are correct. But to me, I'm like, oh, that's because I did my job, not because I, you know, like I let the secret out. It's like, no, if you're engaging in the story and you're starting to see where it's going and you know, whether you're excited about that direction or not, I can't, that's not my business. That's not my business. But
Um, quickly with
I wish she would mention whose predictions she has talked about. I don't think it's me. I don't think any of mine have been. The only reason why I'm saying that is because I've had the Star Wars YouTube channel in my chat before during the Acolyte, and I've had them like my posts before on Instagram for the Acolyte. So I'm kind of I'm assuming it's probably gonna be like new rock stars or somebody else, but some of my predictions have been very spot on this season. So I'm kind of just curious who those people are.
you know, as you said, because now you've teased me and I want to know more. That Kalnaka's not dead, or he's dead, but he's not like I'll see him again. you
He's coming
have all
back, yeah.
you have all these characters that do, you know, we watched Carrie Ann die, but that was not the last time we saw Carrie Ann Moss, and like they do come back. When you were planning the like process of killing these characters off, were the flashbacks always kind of where you were like, this is where you're gonna see where these Jedi really shined and why they were on this mission and powerful together?
How old do you think Qimir is? I usually go off the actors' ages. I would hope honestly though that he's a little bit older. I would love for him to be 100 years old. I'd love for him to be in his 30s. It's all depends. Like Katie Sackhoff isn't in her 60s, and Bo-Katan's supposed to be in the late 50s, early 60s. Same thing with Ahsoka. They're like 4 or 5 years apart.
Absolutely, absolutely. I
And
mean,
Rosario
I think that
and
the
Rosario and Katie are almost the same age too.
there was a big movie that we thought of a lot with Three Kings that we talked about a lot in the writers' room in terms of um, building a similar narrative with those Jedi. When you're in an age of that much, the proliferation of that many Jedi, and that those Jedi are all over the galaxy doing different types of missions. Some exciting, some not. The idea that there would be like constant oversight of all of those missions seemed unlikely to me, even with very powerful, force sensitive people. Is just like, when something gets that big, how can you really contain it? And so I think that's why you see what you are going to see, and what I will tease is that it was always meant to be a story, a season that was about what has happened between Sol and Osha, and what has happened between the Jedi and this coven that they interacted with. So the Manny's character is really fun.
Alex, if you're coming in here to start shit again, I'm just gonna ban you. You already had your time last night when you were starting shit. If you're just gonna come in here and start shit, get the fuck out. Not dealing with it again tonight. You did it during our podcast, so.
Reveal within the midst of all of that, but as we were building the season, it felt like the real mystery was, again, we know they did something. She's murdering them. Mm-hmm. So we already know that. So the question is how? What happened? It's not, oh wow, you didn't see that coming, as much as it's, yeah, but as we're.
Says the guy calling someone a Mary Sue. I have never called anybody a Mary Sue. You can go back through the past hour and 42 minutes of this live stream. I have not once called anybody a fucking Mary Sue. This is literally, you were doing this shit last night too in Cantina jargon. Like, you're bringing up false things. You have higher standard for Star Wars fans. All right, well, I have a higher standard for the block button. Sorry, dog. Get out of here. Congratulations.
Going back to your question about the twins and the theme of that, you're going to see two sides of
what's up, Tony?
Almost every character. Almost every character has two sides, as we know. I mean, that's what all Star Wars is about, right? Like, there's light and dark in everybody, and it's all about the balance of that. And in my opinion, the High Republic is a world that's out of balance. It's that there's just too many Jedi, and they may be balanced individually, but their power is not. And so it was always the plan to hold as much detail about what had gone on.
What a lame bro. If I see my chat, I'm gonna ban him so quick. I don't like banning people, dude. I don't fucking like it. I really don't.
Possible. That was always the plan. And I do think it's kind of fun to have people like yourself be like, they killed Kalnaka, and they'd be like, baby, we got you. We got you. You're okay.
That's the end. All right. Yeah, I mean, she made a lot of good points, and some of them were kind of like, but like, this isn't needed, dude. Like, this isn't needed. Why does this fucking matter? It doesn't matter. It honestly doesn't matter. Um, but yeah, that was the end of the Mary Sue interview. What's for lunch? Good fucking question. You got any ideas? Let's see. I have a. PayPal taking for. All right, I got $16. What's for lunch? Not that I have $16 to my name. It's like I give myself like $50 a day for whatever, or $25 for a day. Dude, I wouldn't DoorDash it. I would just go get it. There is a good ass Indian place near me. The best chicken tikka masala. Like it's a once a week thing. It definitely is. Like it is so good, dude. But yeah. So once again, sorry. Hold this up real quick. If you want to go ahead and look at the interview, I have posted in the chat before. I will post it again right now. Go ahead and look at the interview from Nerdist, the web link. Shout out to Tony from Star Wars Sith once again for giving me the link and letting me go ahead and do some coverage on it for all of you. It's very interesting things along with that Mary Sue interview. So yeah, I will see you guys probably in the next couple of days while I have my upload for episode 8. Anger in the chat leads to darkness. Darkness leads to suffering, and suffering leads to chicken tiki masala. So yeah, yes, go get it. Save that money. I will. Alrighty. I will let you. I will let all of you or any of you go ahead and add anything else you want to, ask any questions or anything, before I go ahead and hop off for the night. I also gotta get a couple shorts made. I gotta go to work in 2 hours. Yeah. Gotta go pick up my wife from work and drop her off at our other job. Got a busy day. Get garlic bread and naan. You that's already on the list, dude. That's already like written down. That's I actually I think I have some upstairs from Target. Dude. Mint. I have no clue what that is. That sounds good though. Oh shit. Okay. I just looked it up. I can get behind that. Could get behind that. Alrighty. I'm gonna get out of here. Have a good one, Ewok. Have a good one, Cecil, Tony from Star Wars Sith. I will see you all in the next one. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Go ahead and check out the Cantina Jargon merch if you want to. I post shorts daily, anywhere from 4 to 7. Not PM, to shorts. But yeah, without further ado, I will see you all tomorrow, probably. And yeah, may the Force be with you all. And I will see you guys when I see you next. I just said that 3 times. Sorry, I had something I was going to say, and I completely lost it, so I'm trying to, like, bring it back. Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you all for being here. We had a total of 246 people in here at one point, so thank you guys for being here. I will see you all tomorrow. Deuces.